I took my Mini Cooper around the racetrack for the very first time, and this is what happened. Before I could actually get behind the wheel and start pushing my little Mini around Mzanzi Speedway, I first had to see what the other drivers were doing and learn from them. And there was some serious machinery out there. From the other Mini Coopers, BMWs, VW Golfs, Audis, Mercedes, to Porsches, Lamborghinis, and yes, you heard that correctly, even some Buckies were out there. But for me, this wasn't just about going fast. I had some amazing people from the automotive community help me get better around the track, learning how to brake properly, understanding the throttle and brake modulation, getting my entry right, finding the apex, and making sure I get the best possible exit. And that's what I love about the automotive community. There's always someone willing to share their knowledge and help you become a better driver. But after watching, learning, and getting some advice, it was finally time for the Mini Cooper and I to be put to the test. How hard can I actually push this little hot convertible hatch? What are its limits? And how far can I push myself while still keeping things safe in a controlled environment? Well, there was only one way to find out. Mzanzi Speedway versus Cars924. The Mini Cooper is going on track, and this is going to be epic. Before we continue, a quick disclaimer. Everything you're about to see was filmed in a controlled private environment and was carried out with safety in mind. The driving techniques demonstrated in this video should not be attempted on public roads. This is a closed course environment, and the driving you see has been performed by a trained and experienced driver. Always obey the rules of the road, drive responsibly, and never put yourself or anyone else at risk. Now, with that out of the way, let's get this Mini Cooper onto the track. Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and a welcome back to another Cars924 episode. Today, we're finally doing something I've been wanting to do for a very long time. I'm taking my Mini Cooper project car on a racetrack. Yes, that's correct. Welcome to Mzanzi Speedway, a place where we've grown to know and love over the past couple of months from a recent visit for the last couple of events held here. And more importantly, welcome to the Mini Cooper project car. Now, before we go on track, if you're new to the channel, welcome. This is the place where everything is cars. Subscribe to the channel and turn on your post notifications to be alerted when a new episode is dropped. We're not only on YouTube, catch some of our behind the scenes content on our other social media platforms. Links will be in the description box down below. Without any further ado, let's go on track. But before we go completely mayhem with the Mini, there's a couple of important things we need to do first. We need to understand exactly what we are actually doing. Because driving on a racetrack isn't simply about putting your foot down and hoping for the best. So before we hit the track, we're going to go through some of the basics of performance driving. We will look at braking, acceleration, cornering, and more importantly, understanding the 3 stages of a corner: entry, apex, and exit. We'll also look at throttle and brake modulation and how small adjustments can make a massive difference to the way the car behaves. Once we've got the theory done, well, there's only one thing left to do: put it into practice. So the first skill we need to understand is acceleration. Now, acceleration might sound pretty straightforward. You put your foot down and the car goes faster. Simple, right? While on track, there's actually a little bit more to it. When you're on a straight, this is where you want to make the most of the car's power and build as much speed as possible before reaching the next corner. But the key word here is control. As you exit a corner, the car begins to straighten out. You can progressively apply more throttle. The straighter the car becomes, the more throttle you can actually give it. And this is important because if you apply too much power too early, especially in a powerful car, you can overwhelm the tires and lose traction. Instead of accelerating efficiently, you're simply making the tires fight for grip. The goal is to get the car settled, point it in the right direction, and then use the available grip to accelerate as hard as possible. Once the car's fully straight, you want to carry that acceleration all the way through, allowing the engine to build speed through the gears until you reach your braking point for the next corner. So now that we understand the basics of acceleration and how to use straight sections of the track, let's watch the pros show us how it's done. Next up, we have braking. Now, going fast is one thing, but knowing how to slow the car down is just as important. When approaching a corner, the goal is to brake hard and efficiently while the car is still traveling in a straight line. You want to get majority of your braking done before you turn into a corner. The important thing is finding your braking point, that exact moment when you need to get onto the brakes. Brake too early and you're leaving time on the table. Brake too late and you could completely miss the corner. As you slow the car down, you gradually release the brake pressure, allowing the car to settle and giving the tires the grip they need to turn. It's all about finding the perfect balance between braking as late as possible while still maintaining control. So let's watch the pros show us how it's done again. Now, one of the most important parts of driving on a racetrack is cornering. Every corner can essentially be broken down into 3 stages: entry, apex, and exit. The first stage is the entry. This is where we finish most of our braking and begin turning the car towards the corner. The goal is to get the car positioned correctly and carry the right amount of speed into the corner. Then we have the apex, the point where the car gets closest to the inside of the corner. This is where smooth steering inputs are important because you want to keep the car balanced and maintain as much grip as possible. And finally, we have the exit. As the car starts to straighten out, this is where we can progressively get back onto the throttle and accelerate towards the next straight. So the idea is simple: slow the car down, turn it in, hit your apex, straighten the car out, and get back on the power. Once again, let's watch the pros put all the 3 stages together. Finally, we have brake and throttle modulation. This is all about being smooth with your inputs rather than simply jumping between full braking and full throttle. When braking, you want to progressively apply and release pressure, keeping the car balanced as you approach the corner. Then as you reach the apex and begin to exit, you smoothly transition back onto the throttle, increasing the power as the car straightens out. The goal is simple: keep the car settled, maintain grip, and make every input as smooth and precise as possible. So now that we've been brought up to speed with the theory behind driving properly on a track, I think it's finally time to put that theory into practice. But before we jump into the Mini and start sending it around Mzanzi Speedway, let's quickly get acquainted with the car we're actually going to be driving. This is my 2006 Mini Cooper R52 convertible. Under the bonnet, we have a naturally aspirated 1.6 litre 4-cylinder engine producing 85 kilowatts and 160 newton meters of torque, driving the front wheels through a 5-speed manual gearbox. Now, by modern performance car standards, these numbers aren't exactly frightening, and this Mini certainly isn't going to be the fastest car we've seen flying around the circuit today. But honestly, that's not really the point. The purpose of bringing this car to the track isn't to set the fastest lap or try keep up with cars that have double, triple, or even more off the power. This is about getting to know the Mini in a completely different environment. After all, I spent so much time driving this car on the road, but a racetrack allows us to properly explore how it behaves under hard acceleration, heavy braking, and aggressive cornering. It's an opportunity to push the car, understand its limits, and most importantly, understand my own limits as a driver. So with 85 kilowatts, a 5-speed manual, and front-wheel drive, let's see what this little Mini can actually do. Now keep in mind, it's not going to be as dramatic, fast, and loud as these cool sports and supercars that have been lapping the track, such as the Porsche 911 GT3, BMW M4 CS, Lamborghini Huracan Technica, and many others that flew right by past me. But it's a worthy try, because if you don't, you'll never know. Wow, that pretty much brings us to the end of today's Cars924 episode. And after spending a day at Mzanzi Speedway, one thing became very clear. Driving quickly on a racetrack isn't simply about having the most power or the fastest car. It's about understanding the fundamentals: acceleration, braking, cornering, understanding your entry, apex, and exit points, and mastering throttle and brake modulation. When all these elements are used precisely and efficiently, they come together to create a driving experience that is not only smooth, but also fast. Now, it is fair to say that the Mini Cooper didn't break any records today, and it certainly wasn't the quickest car out there on track, but honestly, that was never the goal. What this experience gave me was something far more valuable: a chance to understand the car, improve as a driver, and experience all of this in a safe and controlled environment. And getting to witness so many incredible cars being driven exactly as they were designed to be driven was truly something special. It was exciting, rewarding, and without a shadow of a doubt, an experience I would love to do again. If you enjoyed today's episode, let me know in the comment section down below what was your favorite part of the video today. And if you enjoy this sort of automotive content, make sure to subscribe and turn on your post notifications so you never miss a future Cars924 episode. That's it for today's video, and a huge thank you from both myself and the Mini Cooper for watching. Thank you all so much for your support, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.